Ashley, and welcome to my channel. At the time of filming this video is June 26, which means that July is almost upon us, and with a new month comes new books. So in this video, I will be sharing with you 12 new books coming out in July that caught my interest and that sound intriguing. And so these books range from YA fantasy to contemporary YA to adult fantasy to cozy fantasy and fantasy romance. And so I'm going to start with talking about the 3 YA fantasy books that are on this list. So the first book on this list comes out on July 2nd, and it's Illustrated Girl by Josephine Angelini. And this is the first book in the Chronicles of Lucitopia series. And while this book is coming out in paperback on July 2nd, the first 3 ebooks in the series are actually already available to read right now. So you could read all 3 of those right now if you want to. Each book in the series follows a different character, and in that way they all kind of seem like standalones, but they all take place in the world of Lucitopia. And so our first book follows our main character Holly, who gets transported into her favorite book and becomes the main character. However, she has gotten transported into the book at the wrong time because it is just after the villain has caused chaos in the main city. So now it is up to Holly to fix the chaos that the villain has caused. And so she only has 15 days to fix everything, because if she doesn't do it in those 15 days, then she'll never be able to return home again. And so this book just sounds like a silly, goofy time, and it is characterized as a cozy fantasy. And the vibes it's giving me, just from this description, is the same vibes that Assistant to the Villain gave me. And I read this earlier this year, back in January, and loved this. So I'm hoping that this one has the same sort of vibes and that I also really enjoy it as well. And I did want to mention the second book in the series especially caught my eye because, first off, the cover is stunning. This second book in the series follows a girl who gets sacrificed to a dragon, only to find out that the dragon is a pescatarian, and so she ends up teaming up with the dragon to defeat an evil sorcerer. And again, like the first book in the series, this book also just sounds like it's going to be a fun, goofy time. The second YA fantasy book on this list is coming out on July 30th. Is Castle of the Curse by Romina Garber. And this one has very different vibes from the first book I just talked about, because this one is a gothic fantasy with romance and spooky vibes. And so this one follows our main character Estella, and her parents have just passed away, so she goes to live with her estranged aunt in a spooky gothic castle. And while at the castle, she ends up learning that her family has many secrets, and some of those secrets might have led to the death of her parents. So she begins investigating. But while investigating in the castle, she runs into a silver-eyed boy named Sebastian, and she is the only one who can see him. And he is apparently stuck in the castle. So maybe he's a ghost? I don't know, but I'm intrigued. And so this book sounds like it would be the perfect book for spooky season, which is not that far away. So I am super intrigued by this one. So the third and final YA fantasy book on this list also comes out on July 30th, and is Our Wicked Histories by Amy Goldsmith. Like Castle of the Curse, this one is also a gothic fantasy with horror vibes. And so for this one, I'm just going to read the little blurb because that describes it a lot better than I ever could. So it says, a teen girl's attempt to make amends with her former friend group takes a sinister turn during a weekend getaway at an ancestral Irish estate. So that just sounds like creepy and exciting, and apparently there's a haunted lake too as well that's hiding secrets. And this takes place on Halloween weekend, so this again would be another really good book for spooky season. So those are all the YA fantasy books that I am looking forward to that are coming out in July. So now let's talk about the YA contemporary books. I have 2 books on this list. And I don't read YA contemporary as much as I do YA fantasy, but when I do read YA contemporary, I usually gravitate towards the ones that just sound cozy and heartwarming and like a warm hug. And so there are 2 of those that really stuck out to me and caught my eye when I was looking through all the YA books coming out in July. And so the first book comes out on July 2nd, and it's Joined at the Joints by Marissa Eller. So this book follows 17-year-old chronically ill Ivy, and it is summertime, and so far Ivy has spent all summer inside baking. And so her mother and her sister come up a plan to get Ivy out of the house and into a support group. And Ivy reluctantly goes along with their plan, but what she doesn't expect is to meet someone at the support group that she instantly forms a connection and bond with. And this person is Ben, a boy who is around her same age and has the same illness as her. However, then Ivory's chronic illness starts to get worse, and so then she begins to struggle to keep her life from completely falling apart. And so this one sounds cute and cozy and heartwarming and maybe a little sad, but hopefully not too sad. Second YA contemporary book on this list, also coming out on July 2nd, is On the Bright Side by Anna Sortino. And this one, like the previous one, also sounds like it's going to be very cozy and heartwarming and maybe a little sad. But this one is about a girl whose deaf boarding school was just shut down, and that boarding school was home to her. And now she has to return to her hearing family, and she now also has to enter into public school, which is a big change and challenge for her. And so in order to navigate her way through public school, she is assigned someone to help her adjust, and the person she is assigned is this boy named Jason. And he has his own things going on because he was a member of the football team, but during a game, he feels numbness in his legs, and that costs him the game, and so he's dealing with his own stuff going on. And so it seems like the two of them are going to end up forming a friendship, which is probably going to turn into a romance, and it seems like they're both going to help each other navigate through tough and uncertain times. So next we're going to talk about the 2 adult fantasy books that are on this list. So the first one comes out on July 9th, and it's The Sky on Fire by Jen Lyons. So this book takes place in a world that is ruled by dragons, and our main character, she is just trying to survive, and she has a Titan Drake as a companion, and one day a group of adventurers saves her from being captured by a warlord, and they want to recruit her for a heist that they are planning. And they are planning to steal a dragon's hoard. And it isn't any dragon's hoard, though. It is actually the current ruler's hoard that they are trying to steal. And unfortunately, this ruler wants our main character dead. So this book sounds like it's going to be a very thrilling and exciting adventure. And I'm also very interested in seeing how they portray dragons in this one. And I also want to know more about our main character's companion, that is a Titan Drake, and exactly what their relationship is like. So the second adult fantasy book on this list comes out on July 30th, and is Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brenan. So in this one, our main character, book lover Ray, is dying, but she has a chance to make a magical bargain that allows her to enter the world of her favorite fantasy series. Her favorite character in that book has always been the Once and Forever Emperor, and so she is thinking that she will be reincarnated in there as the heroine, but she actually comes to learn that she is the villainess in the story. And so she gathers all the evil villains of the story together, so she has this plan to change their fates. But of course, the one that is standing in their way is the Emperor. So this just sounds like it's going to be a fun and goofy time, and is giving me the same vibes as Assistant to the Villain. The next 2 books we're going to talk about are the 2 cozy fantasy books on this list. So the first one comes out on July 11th, and it's The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. So this one is described as being a lush cottagecore tale full of stolen spellbooks, unexpected friendships, sweet jams, and even sweeter love. And so our main character in this one is a librarian, and she has a sentient spider plant as an assistant, which I think is just a really cool detail. However, the library ends up burning down, so her and her assistant sentient spider plant end up escaping, carrying as many books as they can, and they end up going back to her hometown, which is on a faraway island. And our main character is just planning to lie low at the cottage that she inherited from her parents. But then she realizes that town is in really bad shape. The government, who is supposed to provide services to keep the town functioning and in good shape, has been not doing its job. And so she decides to open a secret spell shop in order to help the town thrive again. But this is dangerous because she is not supposed to share spells with the common people. And if word gets back to the government that she is doing this, the consequences are death. And so this one sounds like it's just going to be cozy and cute and whimsical, and is also described as a Hallmark rom-com full of mythical creatures and fueled by cinnamon rolls and magic, which just sounds so delightful. And I also think this would be a really good book to read during spooky season if you're more into like spooky cute things like I am, as opposed to like straight up horror. So the next cozy fantasy book on this list, and this one's more like cozy fantasy romance, is coming out on July 10th. and it is My Fair Potion by A.E. McKenna. And in this one, our main character, Lila, is an alchemist, and there is a reality alchemist competition TV show that she had competed in the past, but she wants nothing to do with it anymore because when she was in it the last time, one of the other contestants betrayed her, and now her reputation is in shambles, and so she wants nothing to do with that show anymore. However, then she meets another alchemist, Nathaniel, who has been down on his luck, and she sees an opportunity to team up with him so she can get revenge on this other contestant that betrayed her. And so, you know, the two of them are going to fall in love, and it just sounds like it's going to be super cute with a little bit of drama thrown in to keep things interesting. So next, we're going to talk about the final 3 books on this list, which are fantasy romance books. So the first one comes out on July 2nd, and this one is This Ends With Fire by KX Song. And this one is inspired by Milan and is about a girl who ends up disguising herself as a boy to join the military in order to avoid being married off to an abusive man. And so then in the military, she meets a guy named Sky who is a prince turned training partner. So there's a potential love interest there, but then also there's apparently going to be an enemy prince and also a dragon spirit that is offering her power and freedom, but at a great cost. So this one just sounds very intriguing, and I want to know more about these 2 different love interests and about this dragon spirit. And so the second fantasy romance book on this list comes out on July 9th, and it's The Treasured One by Hannah Levin. And our main character in this one is Avery, who is a golden child because she has the ability to heal any and all illnesses. And so she lives a sheltered life healing people from all around the world. And Avery feels kind of trapped, and she wants freedom, but she also doesn't want to upset the balance of things. So she just continues with her life of healing people. However, one day something happens with her powers that threatens her own health and also endangers her way of living and her relationship with the government. And so, in order to figure out exactly what is happening with her powers, she ends up traveling into the fairy world, and the prince there ends up agreeing to teach her about her magic. And so the 2 of them end up working together and growing closer. But then something happens that threatens the already shaky peace between the fairies and the humans. And so then Avery and the prince are going to be forced to choose sides and decide what really matters to them. And so this one just sounds like it's going to be a very sweet and cute fantasy romance. Alright, so the third fantasy romance book and the final book on this list comes out on July 16th. And it is Illusion of Stars by Sarah Marie Page. So our main character in this one is Isabel, and she is a physician on a small island, and she looks after the queen and king. But one day everything changes when she finds her best friend murdered on the beach. And she is desperate to find out what happened to her friend. And in her search, she uncovers a terrifying secret. And that secret is one of the neighboring kingdoms has a weapon that is very deadly and will allow that kingdom to conquer the world. And so, in order to get her revenge, she ends up infiltrating the enemy army, and her mission is to woo the general's son and to steal the weapon. But of course, she's going to be attracted to the enemy general's son, and also she might learn some things that make her question everything. And this one is described as having the heart-pounding tension of Bridge Kingdom meets the snarky banter of A Dawn of Onyx. And so I read the Bridge Kingdom and I really enjoyed that. So that makes me want to read this one. And also I love snarky banter, so sign me up. And there's a note that says the spice level is a steamy fade to black. So there's some heated foreplay and build-up, but no on-page sex. It is compared to the spice level that is in Holly Black's Queen of Nothing. Alright, so those are 12 books coming out this July. Let me know down below if any of these sound interesting to you. And if you made it to this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye!